And welcome to Speak for Yourself. I'm Marcellus Wiley, being humbled by my well-accomplished co-host, Emmanuel Acho. So can we do this right now? Can I get this out of the way? You have a national television commercial out, right? Lexus, yes?
Yes, sir.
That launched yesterday, came out yesterday?
Yes, sir.
So when can we see? Oh, we can't. It's a commercial. It just comes on all the time, right? Okay, and you got a sports Emmy nomination, correct?
Yes, sir. That did happen. That did happen.
Best emerging
on-air personality.
with a co-host named Marcellus. Okay, that's it. He gonna win that one. This is my dog. Just take me wherever you go. Let's get it started in the NBA, where Steph Curry stayed red hot, like Acho over here in last night's win against the Sixers. Hit 10 three-pointers and finished with 49 points. Damn, Steph has now scored 30 or more points and an NBA record 11 straight games, passing Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace for players age 33 or older. Steve Kerr calls Steph's streak, quote, mind-boggling. Magic Johnson, what's up, Irvin? Even tweeted, Steph Curry left no doubt about who the real MVP is tonight. All right, Ad, I hear you, Magic. So, Acho, is Steph Curry the most valuable player in the NBA?
Steph, man, first off, let me talk to Steph, because Steph, I appreciate you, big dog. You make me look smart. I came on this show last Thursday, and I was fighting for my life.
You were?
Against the likes of you. Against the likes of Slick, Rick the Bucher. Slick, I know you watching this at home. If not, you'll see the clip on social. I was fighting for my life. Right hook, left hook, uppercut. I was bobbing, I was weaving. Y'all were trying to tell me that Steph Curry wasn't as great as I thought he was. But then Steph Curry came out there.
What did we say?
Dropped 49 points on your head. Steph Curry came out there. Dub. Look, Steph, shout out to you, big dog, for making me, who is not Columbia smart, look Harvard smart.
Wow! Double shots. You got a double barrel shot out there. Okay.
Yes, Steph Curry's the most valuable player in the NBA. So when I think about value is correlated to availability and impact.
That ain't in Webster's, but go ahead. I mean, that ain't what my definition says, but go ahead.
Value is correlated. I didn't say it's the same thing. I didn't say it's synonymous.
Oh, yeah.
Value is correlated to availability and impact. Let's talk solar, shall we? Y'all smart. You smart. You're smarter than me. You're smarter than them. So let's talk the solar system.
How many planets? 9 or 10? Go.
8. They revoked.
Damn, see?
Look, y'all, let's pay attention. Pay attention in class, Self. The sun is the most valuable of the stars, I would say. I would assume you would say.
You're selfish, but go ahead.
The sun is the most valuable of the stars. Why? Because it is most present, first and foremost, 12 to 18 hours a day, depending on the time of the year, number one, and depending on the region in which you live.
Okay.
But also, the impact provides energy. Also, the impact provides heat, provides warmth. Also, the impact provides light. The sun is the most valuable of the stars because its availability and its impact. A lot of stars in the NBA right now, not all have been available, Kevin Durant. Not all have been available, Kyrie Irving. Not all have been available, LeBron James. So Steph Curry is the most valuable of the stars, number one, because of his availability. But now let's talk about his impact. When you look at the top front runners for MVP, according to Fox Bet Sportsbook, you see the Joker, Nikola Jokic. You see Joel Embiid. And then you also see Steph Curry. All stars. We get that. Like the sun, they're all stars. But can we talk about the impact? Because the other thing that's so great about the sun is when it's shining, and other stars are shining, you don't even notice the other stars, Sal, because of how bright the sun shines.
You ain't lying.
So Steph Curry just played another star last night, Joel Embiid. But comparatively, you didn't even notice him because of how bright Steph Curry was shining. Steph Curry played Nikola Jokic, the Joker,
you gonna say his
a couple
name?
nights ago. But you couldn't even tell he was a star because of how bright Steph Curry shined. Sal, when I look at Steph versus the Joker, 53 points to the Joker's 27 points.
Don't do this.
10 three-pointers made and 1 3. Obviously, they play different positions, but I couldn't even tell the Joker was shining because of how bright Steph was shining. Now, let's look at Steph versus Embiid. Just last night, 49 points, 28 points. I couldn't even tell that those other stars were in the galaxy because of how bright Steph Curry was shining. Oh, by the way, Steph Curry won both of those games. If value is correlated to availability and impact, then Steph Curry is both more available than the typical star in the NBA, and he is clearly more impactful than them stars right now.
Man, that was not it.
That was all of it.
No, you know why it's not it? Because one, you just started in the wrong place.
How?
You started with your emotions. Admit it to the world. You have a man crush on Steph Curry.
A little one.
Well, he's little. You have a big man crush on the little man. That's all that is. Dog, what the hell? Have you lost your way?
No, sir.
You just got nominated for an Emmy. You gonna have that take? You ain't winning, dog. Who else is up? Malika Andrews, it's yours, girl. It ain't his. The hell man crush takes? Okay. Let's go here. There's so many ways I could destroy you right now. So
There's really none. I'm interested in the approach you plan on taking, sir.
I just got a cash app from Mortal Kombat. They said finish him. Because the money is in the bank right now. Before I say why not Steph Curry for the MVP, let's just start off with the root of that phrase. Why?
Okay.
Why would Steph Curry be the MVP? Not by your definition. You just made up something. I'm looking at Webster's right here, and I don't see anything about availability. What the hell are you making up stuff for? Trying to fit him into your definition. Why would Steph Curry be the MVP? He could be the MIP, most impressive player, because good Lord, at your age, good Lord, with the defenses all focused in on you, good Lord, with the fact that you don't have surrounding talent, largely because of injury, that it's a lot. It's daunting for Steph Curry to go out there and do what he's doing. But with that said, MVP value?
Yes, sir.
When we talk about how it has an impact on wins and how it has an impact on terms of team success, that's where he falls short. What you're trying to do is rig the system. What you're trying to do is go to our favorite sport, track and field, and track and field. I know a lot of times you go there, snack stand, or win 100, win the 400. Can you look at the infield? They have events as well.
I threw discus, I threw shot. I know about the field aspect. You were the runner. I was in the ring, okay? Keep going.
Oh, good point there. A lot of self-hate, though, because you don't pay attention anymore. Do they start the high jump off at a low bar or a high bar?
Depending, but high bar.
No, it's a low bar. You know why? Because they want you to all to qualify and keep pulling the bar up.
Fair,
so
fair.
See, I told you don't pay attention. Look,
we're not going to go there. We're not about to argue about this right now. We're not about to argue about this.
They started off at like 5'6". They're like, all right, warm-ups, 6 feet.
But if you're nice, you don't come in until a higher height.
Thank you. Okay. You know what this conversation, because everybody's injured, no one has been there from hello to goodbye because of injury. We could go LeBron James. We could go all Embiid, et cetera.
Yes,
we could go there. You know what's happened now? Instead of us saying, okay, there's a high bar for what the MVP is, we have rigged it and flipped it. We're saying, let's bring it on down. What track meet you ever been to where they bring the bar down? They bring the bar up. Steph Curry is not going to qualify because other people are injured. Steph Curry is not going to qualify because this is a shortened season. Steph Curry is not going to qualify for one simple reason. My MVP is not in the play-in game, brother. My MVP is not the 9th seed, my brother. My MVP has to make whatever he's doing have total impact of those around him. And until I see that, and I don't see it with a 29-29 record, yeah, you better hit me with the Love Jones, damn it. Hit me with that Love Jones. Point being, I'm not hating on Steph. This is impressive as hell. But is it the most valuable player worthy? Hell no.
I wish you would have led with what you ended with.
I don't like that.
You took me through a bunch of malarkey to get me to some gold. I wish you would have led with that ending, because the only thing that can truly undermine Steph Curry's MVP argument, Steph Curry's MVP conversation, is the fact that they're the 9th seed. Like, if the NBA playoffs were to start right now and they didn't have this play-in game type of nonsense, then, yeah, Steph Curry wouldn't even be in the playoffs. However, if you want to talk about a bar, if you want to talk about a bar that is set to be an MVP, then you have to look at the highest heights of the bar. The highest height of anything is something that is unanimously decided upon. Because there's no deciding, there's no deliberating. If something is unanimous, then everyone agreed upon something. You know where I'm going, and it's going to hurt.
Here you go.
It's going to hurt. If what I'm about to do, Marcel's like when you stub your toe and the pain don't set in yet, so you know it's about to set in. You know you stubbed it, but here the pain comes. I'm setting you up for this one, Sel.
I feel it.
The highest height of something is something that's unanimous. So what is the bar for an MVP? Steph Curry actually set the bar 2015, 2016 when he was a unanimous MVP. And when he set that bar, what was the highest height for points totaled? 30.1 points per game. That's what he averaged. That was the height of that bar. How many rebounds did he have? 5.4. That was the height of that bar. How many assists did he have? 6 assists a game, 6.7 to be exact. The height of that bar. So The highest bar for a MVP in NBA history, because Steph Curry is the unanimous MVP, is 30 points a game, 5.4 assists a game, 6.7 boards a game. So if that is the bar, and if that is the highest height of the bar throughout the course of NBA history, then Steph Curry has 31 points a game. He just leapt over the bar as far as points. Steph Curry has 5.5 rebounds a game. He just leapt over the bar as far as boards. And Steph Curry has 6 assists a game. He just nipped the bar by his hair as far as assists. So if Steph Curry set the bar, unanimously set the bar, he just leapt over the bar that he set unanimously. So don't start talking to me about we lowering the bar for Steph Curry. No, sir. He set the bar, and then he jumped over the bar.
Damn, thank you for making my point. Like you just said in the high jump example, I'm going to wait till the bar gets higher before I even say, yeah, my turn. Because you making my point for me.
What point?
You gave me all the points and all the rebounds and all the assists. And you forgot one thing.
What's that?
How many wins that year?
So you are.
If you don't answer, you talk about Harvard all damn show so far, and you can't answer one question. How many wins, my brother? 70. 1, 2, 3. Yes, he cleared it. 73 wins. And now we gonna come up here with 29 wins. And how many losses? 29. Do I got something on my hair? Yeah, I do. 29 and 29. And you're gonna try to give me the same numbers without the same impact to my definition of what value is. So impressive. Man, look, I'll go to that award ceremony, but it's on the tent, on the outside of the main event, which is the MVP award that Steph doesn't qualify.
I have a question, Marcellus Wiley. May I ask a question, sir?
Stuck now. Here go little brother time.
No.
You're gonna fight for no reason.
Is it the MVP award for most valuable player, or is it the most valuable team? Is it the most valuable collective? Is it the most valuable aggregation? Is it the most valuable congregation? Is it the most valuable group?
Situation. I think you're gonna win.
It is the most valuable player.
Oh, God.
I'm not going to penalize Steph Curry because of everybody else on his squad. If you want to give the award to the best player on the best team, then call up the Jazz. See what Rudy Gobert got cooking.
Don't do that.
If you want to give the award to the best player on the best team, call up the Jazz. See if Donovan Mitchell okay coming off that injury and when he going to be back. If you want to give the award to the best player on the best team, that's a different conversation. But if it's the most valuable player award, singular, an individual award, then let's talk about the individual. Don't start talking to me about the collective, big dog.
I am. But you know why it matters in this? Because I've won MVP before. Have you ever won MVP? I won it like 5, 6.
Marcellus,
I stopped counting.
a high school MVP.
No, I'm talking about Pop Warner even before high school. I wasn't that good at high school. Boy, I didn't go to the University of Texas. Shut up. Here's the thing. There is a pure definition. We don't agree on the definition of value, obviously. You made up yours, and I read the dictionary. Let's talk about the definition of empty calories. Oh, damn. And you hear it all the time when people say, those stats are meaningful and meaningless.
Okay.
And why do you have that contrast? Because they're meaningful in terms of you put in the work. You got buckets. But what was the impact? These are empty calories in this respect. It's not like it's a slight to Steph. It's not translating. Rosetta Stone is not working in terms of translating these points into W's. And there's a year that you want to use to frame his greatness, his value. Yes, 2015, 73 wins and 30-plus points. Give you that. But when you give me 30-plus points and 29 wins, something's off. And I need you to acknowledge what is off, and that's going to be the definition of why he's not going to win most valuable player.
I will acknowledge the fact that they're not nearly as good of a team. I will concede that. America, they're not as good of a team. But what I will say is very simple, Sel. He's given you just as many assists. He's given you just as many boards. He's given you more points.
Maybe
so
the teams may be giving them too.
Even with
they're out of the game.
Less talent around Steph Curry.
It's not just about
he's still giving you the same output, big dog.
It's the Dak Prescott argument you always give me in flip, which is like, dog, Dak, y'all were down, dog, y'all lost. Yeah, I've been there before. I've been on losing teams more than winning teams in the NFL. But let's just say the times we were up. There's something about taking your foot off the gas in terms of, especially defense, which is more effort-based. Other teams are up on them. Other teams are beating them. Other teams are looking at Steph Curry like, what? The last 11 games is all you're really talking about.
Yes, sir.
This is why this is snowballing, right? He's played 5 of the worst teams in the NBA. More so than that, they still are at 500 as a 9th seed. So if you look at MVP performers, only one has ever not made the playoffs and still won the MVP. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The year after I was born, 1975, bruh. Other than that, you got to be a 6th seed at least or better. And the 6th seed, we're talking about Russell Westbrook and his Mr. Triple-Double year. So outside of that, I didn't even want to go to just objective measures. I wanted to have a discussion. There's no way he can win it.
Here's why I completely disagree and vehemently disagree with this discussion.
All right.
My dog Colvin about to be sick when I bring up this because he's a Warriors fan, a producer on this show. So the Warriors lost to the Celtics over the weekend, if I'm not mistaken. They lost to the Celtics by 5. 45 seconds left. It's a 2-point game. 113, 111. Steph Curry has done his thing to bring them boys back into the game. Steph Curry is balling, going crazy. Draymond Green, open layup.
Come on, make that layup. I know.
You've seen it.
Well, he's offensively challenged.
Yes, he is. He is offensively, I think it was incoherent or whatever the case may be. But Draymond Green got a wide open layup to tie the game with 45 seconds left, and he misses it. And oh, God. Draymond, big dog, you making $100 million. Draymond, you won year like 9 or 10. You were not MVP, you were a champion. You're a 3-time All-Star. You can't make a layup. And the point you're trying to make, so is this.
I made it.
It appears that you're punishing Steph Curry for plays like that because Steph Curry is not winning basketball games because his former All-Star teammates cannot make layups with the game on the line. I'm not going to punish Steph Curry and undermine a 40-point performance by Steph Curry because Draymond Green can't make a layup. Draymond Green goes on to miss that layup. What happens next? Kemba Walker, step back, 3-pointer. It's now 116 to 111. The game is over. The game is over, all because Draymond Green cannot make a layup. I'm not going to punish Steph Curry for what Draymond Green cannot do.
Look, did you watch the Warriors when they won 73 wins?
Yes, sir. No doubt.
When they won all those games? You know Draymond missed a layup that year, too. Didn't matter, did it? This year it does. I'm not punishing him. I'm just not rewarding him like you want to. You want to give him the highest reward, highest achievement award based on a performance that is the same, if not a tick better, but everything else around him is not the same. It has to translate. No one ever gets up there and professes Tom Brady is the best pure quarterback. But everyone looks at how whatever he possesses translates to ultimate success, and therefore he wins his awards individually and team-wise. This is a Father Time argument. I love that you want to give him most impressive for Father Time. Old school players.
No, this isn't Father Time.
Kareem, Kobe, rest in peace. Jordan, when they were older, they all look like this. But if you want to say the best player this year, only thing you're really acknowledging is that there's a substandard of MVP performances because of injury, largely. And then Steph Curry has now creeped into a conversation when you have lowered the bar.
The question really then becomes, the core of this argument becomes, what is more impressive? What a Steph Curry does on a offensively maligned Golden State team, or what a Kyrie Irving or a James Harden does on a uber-talented Nets team? What a Deshaun Watson did on a offensively incompetent Texans team? Or what a Patrick Mahomes does on a lavishly talented offensive team. I look at a Steph Curry and say, you know what? You're doing more or just as much with less. I look at the quarterbacks in the NFL and say, you know what? You're doing more or just as much with less. I'm going to reward Steph for doing more with less.
Look, man, you just said it, most impressive. You started that whole soliloquy off with most impressive. And then you went to Sean. Interesting. Okay, nobody was saying he was the MVP. We know why. Simple. It's like, that's cool and that's cute, but it's sauce and swap meet. You know sauce and swap meet? You ever been? You scared? You ever traveled that part? You ever go past the 10 freeway? You scary ass. All right, here's the point. It's cool, it's fresh, it's dope. It looks the same, but it ain't got the same value, big dog, for a reason. You can do this on the cheap. Coming up, Patrick Mahomes says he's ahead of schedule after toe surgery. I don't. We'll tell you if the Chiefs are the favorites in the AFC. But first, we'll tell you if the Cowboys have put pressure on Dak Prescott with their quiet offseason. And that's next on Speak for Yourself. Man Crush Edition. Hell no. Sunday on Fox, the NASCAR Cup Series heads to Talladega Super Speedway for the Geico 500. High-speed action starts Sunday at 2 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Vroom, vroom, vroom. And speaking of speed, Lamar Jackson won his first playoff game last season, but his squad still finished last in passing. Baltimore signed Sammy Watkins this offseason. That boy good. But many thought they would give Lamar more help. Their GM got frustrated, irritated, when he was asked why the Ravens have been able to draft Pro Bowlers at every position besides wide receiver. Take a listen.
We've got some really good young receivers. It's insulting to these guys when they hear that we don't have any receivers. It's quite insulting. I'm insulted by it too, to be honest. So I think we've got some guys that want to show everybody what they can do. I know this. I think Lamar likes our receivers. You know, I think our coaches like our receivers. I think the teammates, the guys in this team, like our receivers. And that's my answer to that question.
What? So have the Ravens set Lamar Jackson up to fail?
Hey, first off, don't speak for Lamar Jackson, big
Yeah,
dog.
you saw that?
I know Lamar Jackson likes our receivers. Lamar looking like, what you talking about, Willis?
What?
Yes, the Ravens have set Lamar up to fail long term. Sel, I'm reminded of a quote. That which I feared the most has befallen me.
Give me that.
Lamar Jackson, what he feared the most was becoming the quarterback the Baltimore Ravens have made him become in the National Football League. Reminding y'all, Lamar Jackson, he didn't even run a 40 coming out of college because he didn't want the NFL to perceive him as exclusively some dominant running threat that couldn't pass the football. Lamar Jackson didn't run the 40 coming out of college because he didn't want people to look at him as a running quarterback. Yet that's exactly how we look at him 3 years later. Why? Because the Baltimore Ravens, the number one rushing offense the last 2 years, but the worst passing offense this last year. That which I feared the most has befallen me. That which Lamar Jackson feared the most is actually happening to him. 10 games under 200 passing yards Lamar Jackson had this previous season. One game under 100 passing yards. Lamar Jackson led the league in games with 200 or fewer passing yards this year. That which I feared the most has befallen me. Have they set Lamar Jackson up to fail? Absolutely long term. Now, in the short term, you're going to have a ton of great success. He won a unanimous MVP. So it can sound asinine. What you mean, Acho, setting him up to fail? That's great. But regular season success does not necessarily correlate or necessarily translate to postseason success. So have the Ravens set Lamar Jackson up to fail? Absolutely, as I look at it, because success in the NFL isn't just individual. Ultimate success is team success. And I don't think the Ravens can have ultimate team success playing the style of football the way they play it now.
Okay. Now, there's something in there that I need clarification on because, one, you just went against your Steph Curry talking about ultimate success and team success. Now you talk about Steph Curry winning MVP. Make that make sense. But let's talk about Lamar Jackson. He's not set up to fail, but you said something there in terms of long term, he's set up to fail, but short term, he's not. But who cares about long term? Because you can address the needs if you're talking about going forward, years to come. Right now is really the question. Like right now, is Lamar Jackson going to fail or succeed? I'm on the fence. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to give him an A because look at the paperwork on this team in terms of the wide receiver group. They haven't addressed it fully. Sammy Watkins can't stay healthy, so I believe in his talent. I don't believe in his availability. They have the fewest receptions and receiving yards from the wide receiver position of any team last year. So that makes you think of an F. But I think of Lamar Jackson, is he going to pull that grade up? So I can look at this wide receiving core and his passing game, and I give it a D. You ever see somebody on your team almost ineligible because they got a 1.9, and coach like, let me see that progress report. You good? You good? He's like, yes. That's what I think about when I think of this team. And it's not because of Lamar Jackson. I'm tired of hearing his name in the same sentence with this passing game because he did lead the league in passing touchdowns. It's because of Greg Roman, bruh. And Greg Roman has to change the fortunes of this passing game immediately. But Greg Roman has never had a passing offense that wasn't bottom 10 in the NFL. Every single year he's been a coordinator, bottom 10 offense in terms of passing game. So that's a problem right there. This offense needs to catch its rhythm. It needs to catch its stride. Now, in the year that Lamar Jackson won the unanimous MVP and did lead the league in passing touchdowns, it was a surprise act in terms of he just didn't know how good and great he was. And then when you realize it was a little too late. And look, Greg Roman did call those plays, but those plays get figured out. I give it to you in example form. When I got to the NFL, I was bigger, faster, and stronger than most DNs. I wasn't better, though. I was bigger, faster, stronger. That's what I did from a small school. I lifted weights and ran a lot. And then I was like, one day I'm going to learn the tricks of the trade. Got to the NFL. I had this swim move that I thought was so cute. Coach said, you better get rid of that thing. You showing your chest. I kept doing it. Got in practice, NFL, rampart, defibrillator. I was like, took my soul out, right? Coach said, two things you got to learn in the NFL. What's your best move? And more importantly, what's your counter move? Oh, Greg Roman, we know your best move. Run the damn ball. Run the ball. You run it well, too. Top 10 in rushing offense every single year. But what's your counter move? And that's what he's not working on. So right now, as Greg Roman sits there punched in the chest by every other defense out there, knowing that they're going to run the ball effectively but not pass it, I'm waiting for them to evolve. I'm waiting for Greg to evolve so Lamar can evolve.
If we do know that success is based upon, in the NFL, team awards, right? The Aaron Rodgers, he won an MVP. He wasn't very happy this past season.
No.
He wanted to win a Super Bowl. So disregarding the Steph Curry argument, and as far as football, team awards dictate success. Then I think they're setting him up for failure because Lamar Jackson can't win the team award, the Super Bowl, playing like this. Now, why do I think so? First, Sal, let's have a quick pause, a quick conversation over, are we giving Lamar Jackson too much of a pass for leading the league in passing touchdowns? Here's why I say this.
How you get a pass for that? You can't lead the league in anything. It's not luck, bro. Nothing.
So,
Two-point conversions.
LeGarrette Blount was a very good running back, right? We would say he wasn't great, but we say he's a good running back.
He had a great moment.
LeGarrette Blount led the NFL in rushing touchdowns in 2016.
Yeah.
Now, we would never sit here and cite that LeGarrette Blount was some sort of all-pro beast, but he led the NFL in rushing touchdowns. Devontae Freeman, Jeremy Hill led the league in rushing touchdowns a year before. So I only say that like, dang, you're right. I use that Lamar Jackson led the league in passing touchdowns as a crutch, but I don't know if that makes him a prolific passer. Why do I say that? Dude has one career game with over 275 passing yards. One out of 37.
Yeah.
So are you setting him up for failure? If you only have one career game with over 275 passing yards, and on average, y'all, because I had to look this up, the last 5 Super Bowls, the players passed for 310 passing yards in the Super Bowl. So when you're talking about playing in the ultimate game, in the ultimate sport, the Super Bowl, where the Ravens would want to be so Lamar Jackson can look at his career as a success, you throwing for 310 now. And I ain't even mentioned that Tom Brady-Nick Foles duel when Tom Brady threw for 505 and Nick Foles threw for 350 plus. You throwing for some yards now. If Lamar Jackson has only once thrown for over 275 yards, and you got to throw for 310 in the dance, and Lamar Jackson has only done that once, I do think the Ravens are setting him up for failure. Because, yeah, it's nice to rush for over 1,000 yards in a season as a quarterback. It's nice to do that. And we're going to brag about doing that. But eventually, we're going to look at Lamar Jackson like, wait a second now. And Josh Allen just went to the AFC Championship game.
Listen.
Patrick Mahomes, same draft class, just went to the Super Bowl twice in a row. Wait a second, all these other young quarterbacks, I mean, even Baker Mayfield don't want a playoff game, Lamar. Like, we looking at these young AFC studs. Justin Herbert, he just set a rookie record for passing touchdowns. Like, wait a second, Lamar, what have you contributed collectively, or are you still in the conversations with the Josh Allens? And Josh Allen, is he actually further above the conversation than you? I do think they're setting him up for failure because they're not setting him up to succeed as a team.
See, everything you said points to the scheme, points to the philosophy.
Yes, sir.
The boundaries.
That's where I'm pointing to. That's what I want to point to.
Yeah, and which is fine. But you took a little shot at Lamar Jackson saying it's a crutch to say that he led the league in passing touchdowns. I just don't believe in leading the NFL where the greatest athletes are playing against each other in brutal competition, and you lucked up and big was the best of all.
Let me ask you something, because I think there's confusion here, because I've been confused on it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying this. Do we give him too much credit for it? We say Lamar Jackson led the league in passing touchdowns, and I feel like we use that to say he's a prolific passer. Like, don't you bring up that stat? Why do you bring up that stat?
Because the touchdowns are not like a rushing touchdown. Like, LeGarrette Blount was at the 1 yard line half the time getting those, and, 3rd and 1, 3rd and goal. Here you go. You can lead the league in touchdowns easier as a running back than you can. I played running back all the way to the NFL, and I had 5 touchdowns my senior year. I ain't even have 5 yards. It was like, come on, dog. Like, here you go. But passing is a completely different animal. Let me tell you why it's working for them. And you don't win an MVP by luck either.
Of course not. Of course not.
So it's almost like they're zigging when everyone else is zagging.
Yes, sir.
This is a passing league. And Greg Roman is like, well, let me keep running the ball. Why? Because most teams going to put their nickel package out, their dime package when you see it. And then that's when Greg Roman unconventionally says, run the ball, when everybody else is preparing for someone to pass the ball. It works for them a lot of times. Then it also doesn't work for them. Let's not make this about Lamar Jackson because, as I always say, a fish is only as big as his tank. Think about it. Man, grew up with, my grandma had some weird fish in her thing. But we had some bluegills. You know what a bluegill is? Me either. We had some Jack Dempsey's and stuff. I think it was just her friends, but she was calling them fish names. Point being, they only get as big as the damn tank. And it's crazy. You can take a big fish, put them in a little tank, and that fish like, hey, bro, we're going to have some problems here. That's Lamar Jackson in this system. I think he's bigger than this system. It's not a trust issue because you can't leave the league and touchdowns and then question that same person and their passing prowess. That's what it sounds like you're trying to do. Let's explicitly blame it on Greg Roman until he shows us different. He has never had a passing offense that is not bottom 10. So how in the hell are we ever going to look at a unanimous MVP and say it's on him?
It's on Greg Roman predominantly, but I will say this.
Come on.
You got to give Greg Roman some credit, and you can give him some fault, but here's why. Because Ravens fans, y'all always be mad at me when we had these conversations. Greg Roman is playing to Lamar Jackson's best skill set.
No, he's not. Look, Greg Roman is saying, this is what I do. I did it with Kaepernick. I'm going to do it with you.
What was Kaepernick's best skill set?
I don't know.
He
darted that thing. He didn't have touch, but he could dart.
He could throw that.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
We all know this. Kaepernick ran for 181 yards. I think he has an NFL playoff record. It hasn't been broken.
That's my point. So everybody going to have to run it.
Kaepernick's best skill set was his ability to run the ball.
Most used.
He has a record doing it. He didn't have a record throwing and passing. He has a record running the ball. So his best skill set, at least statistically speaking, is running the ball. Lamar Jackson's best skill set, not his only skill set. Let's not get this twisted. His best skill set is running the ball. Patrick Mahomes' best skill set is passing the ball, not his only skill set. Let's make no mistake about that. Patrick Mahomes can also run the ball. So this isn't a slight at Pat. It's not a slight at Lamar. So can you blame Greg Roman if he's maximizing Lamar Jackson's best skill set? What do the Chiefs do? The Chiefs acquire Tyreek Hill. They acquire Mecole Hardman. They retain Travis Kelce. They spread you out because they want to maximize their quarterback's best skill set, not his only one. What do the Ravens do? They acquire Hayden Hurst in the first round. They acquire Mark Andrews in the third round. They acquire Mark Ingram. So now they say, we're going to maximize our quarterback's best skill set. I can't punish Greg Roman for doing the same thing Andy Reid is doing. The difference is this. Andy Reid maximizing Mahomes' best skill set leads to Super Bowls. Greg Roman maximizing Lamar Jackson's best skill set leads to regular season accolades. I'm not really mad at Greg Roman for maximizing his QB's best skill set. And I ain't mad at Andy Reid for maximizing his QB's best skill set. I didn't say only skill set, so y'all calm down. But we're maximizing their best skill set. So I'm not blaming Lamar for it, but it's the chicken and the egg conversation.
Yes, it is. It's the producer and artist conversation.
Yes, go there.
Look, the Bee Gees, one of my favorite groups, got caught up in falsetto and got caught up in soul, and they got caught up in disco. And everybody was saying, who are you? And they were like, we're all of those things if you allow us the room to show you all those things. But in the era, people dictate terms, and they say, we need you to be one thing. And that's that era. Unfortunately, Greg Roman has the mindset of that, which is, I need you to do this one thing. I have a script, read it. And you're like, but I do different things. And he's not open-minded or open-skilled enough to allow Lamar Jackson to do all those things. I give it to you like this. Greg Roman has this offense in puberty. It's growing because he did lead the league in touchdowns, passing touchdowns, but it's not fully evolved like it should be. So as you look at it, the Oxy 10. You remember Oxy 10? You need some right now. I see that thing on your nose. So here's the thing. You need some Oxy 10 right now. Breath of fresh air, some oxygen, and you need 10 yards of pass. Come on, man. Everybody in the league is doing this. Lamar Jackson can throw. I mean, really throw the football. It's unconventional. It doesn't look the way that you want it to look, but it gets there. If we saw full trust in him as a producer, you would see the full expression of him as an artist. Got him. Coming up, it's Tua time. Stop. Two time. Once again in Miami, it's going down. We'll tell you if it's a good idea for the Dolphins to build around their quarterback. That's next on Speak for Yourself. You know who the BGs are? Acho. Want to speak for yourself. Marcellus Wiley, Emmanuel Acho up there. Blanking, I see you up top. It's time for our big story presented by U.S. Army. What's your warrior? Let's head to Miami. Let's go. Well, the Dolphins have the 6th pick in the draft, but reports say they've already talked to multiple teams about trading down. Miami Herald reports they are more likely to trade down if tight end Kyle Pitts and wide receiver Jamar Chase are off the board, which seems to mean they're putting all their eggs in the basket for Tua. So, Acho, are the Dolphins smart building around Tua?
Genius, man. I think that in the NFL, success is very simple. Quarterback, head coach, what's that combination like? Tom Brady, Bruce Arians, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid. What is that head coaching and quarterback combination like? Are they both talented? Are they both skilled at their jobs? Brian Flores, we know, is top tier. Like Brian Flores could have been in that coach of the year conversation very early on. Remember, we go from looking at the Dolphins last year to where the Dolphins were this year and how competent they looked in the first 10, 12 weeks of the season. We were like, wow, phenomenal job. But then you look at the quarterback and Tua. You judge a quarterback collectively, typically. Now, you can look at them both. How are you individually? But how are you as a team? 6-3 as a starter. It's better than the Justin Herberts of the world as far as winning percentage, clearly better than the Joe Burrows of the world, better than the Jalen Hurts of the world. And Jordan Love, he didn't even get off the bench last year. So 6-3 as a starter, 11-5 touchdown interception ratio. Pretty solid. 64% completion percentage, right at league average. So Tua, you were great in college, and I'm not a believer that college quarterbacks forget how to play quarterback when they get to the NFL. I don't subscribe to that theory. I believe that college quarterbacks go to the NFL and how's their head coach, how's their offensive coordinator, do they have talent around them? So if Tua, you were the most efficient quarterback the game of football has ever seen at the college level, you've shown competency in the NFL level, you have an incredibly talented and competent head coach, build around Tua and see how far you can get.
You said it, but you didn't say it with your chest. Like, you said it like you part of this organization. Like, well, if someone is available, then one of those quarterbacks drop, then they may snatch him up. I'm going to say, well, my chest, yes, it's smart to build around Tua. What the hell are we doing? Listen to this sentence, and this is a sentence that should have impact, especially if you're a Dolphins fan. You're talking about a quarterback who was a franchise quarterback in terms of pick, number 5 overall, who wins twice as many games in his rookie year as Peyton Manning did while playing 7 fewer games than that same Peyton Manning. And y'all want to question his it factor? What's wrong with y'all? This is a situation where it's not just about his individual talent, not just about the team's collective talent. It's about the situation and circumstances he falls himself into. Look at this situation, Miami. Do you trust the Miami Dolphins organization? You talked about Brian Flores. I love Brian Flores. But even Brian Flores had to change things around, dust some things off in this Miami Dolphins organization. Don't forget, not too far gone from... You know what? I don't think Ryan Tannehill's a good quarterback. Who told us that? The Miami Dolphins. And what did Ryan Tannehill do? Just go to Tennessee, improve his quarterback rating by 25 points the next year, and find himself in the AFC Championship game. I don't trust the Miami Dolphins. I trust the situation right now as it's growing, and I'm really going to trust it if they allow Tua to grow in that situation. But this is crazy. The Miami Dolphins since 2000, when I played against them twice a year in the AFC East, have only made the playoffs 4 times since 2000. Huh? Where they do that at? We're talking about a team with 4 winning seasons in the last 17 years. 22 different starting quarterbacks in 21 years. And there was question marks about Tua as a franchise quarterback until he shows me he's not one. You best believe that he is one.
I like that. Oh, now let's go beneath the surface because
you want to bring in Greg right now? Okay. What you want to do? What you want to do? Acho, you the Emmy Award winning.
Let me make my point.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let's go beneath the surface, right? Because the bigger reason why the Dolphins should truly stick to Tua is because if you want to win a Super Bowl, you better have one of 2 things: a quarterback named Tom Brady or a quarterback on a rookie deal. If you want to win a Super Bowl, the last 9 Super Bowl winners, quarterbacks named Tom Brady or a quarterback on a rookie deal outside of Peyton Manning. 9 Super Bowl champs, 4 rookie deal, 4 named Tom Brady.
Nick Foles.
And 1, Carson Wentz was on his rookie deal. So with that
Man,
being
he
said,
ain't win no Super Bowl.
Carson Wentz was on a rookie deal.
jogging suit
Joe
ass Super
Flacco,
Bowl. Okay.
Russell Wilson,
Jogging suit.
Patrick Mahomes,
Jogging suit.
Carson Wentz, Nick Foles. So
Okay,
with that
there you
being said, if you got the Dolphins and Tua is your quarterback, then if you really want to win a Super Bowl, you really got one of two options. Can you get Tom Brady? No, that's not going to happen. So you better keep Tua because he's on this rookie deal. And if the ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl, that's where your options are.
All right.
Well, let's bring in NFL analyst and former Dolphins receiver Greg Jennings. So, Greg, the Dolphins smart building around Tua.
Yeah, man, you ain't have to add that former dog. I mean,
Hey, how you know you play for Miami? That's your Jacksonville years.
hey, Marcellus, when you play long, you have some archive files that you just push away.
I'm looking up
you
them
just
numbers.
push them away. but they should absolutely build around Tua. This is smart. When you think about any successful quarterback, any successful being, they have pieces around them. You guys mesh together because you have the support system of one another and the team around you to protect the producers. Everybody plays a huge role. When you look at the Miami Dolphins last year, Tua Tagovailoa went to a situation where there was some uncertainty, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. Brian Flores, as brilliant as he's been, his focus was establishing the culture and really solidifying that defense. Now his focus is shifted to that offense and understanding what do we need on this offensive side. So you bring in a guy like Jacoby Brissett, a veteran leader who can really nurture a guy like Tua Tagovailoa, a running back that's a veteran leader in Malcolm Brown. You support him from the inside out. You're going to protect him. Now you have to acquire assets that are going to be on the field, healthy, and contributing right away that ultimately will allow Tua to go into that huddle and believe that he is in charge and allow what we've all seen. Andre, you talked about it in college. He is not falling off from what we saw a couple years ago. And let's not forget, he's coming off an injury going into his rookie season. So our expectation of these rookie quarterbacks, and specifically for Tua, should never have been for him to just come out the gates sprinting and winning the race. No, he has to take time. He had that last year, the offseason. All of these things played a huge role. I think this year you build around him, put guys in position to where he's successful and that they are successful as a whole organization and specifically an offensive unit.
Thank you for bringing up the hip injury. Good Lord. Like, we give people a pass with the ACL injury. It's going to take them 2 years to respond and come back as who they were. But we look at this, which is as severe as an ACL. You're talking about a hip injury, and he comes back off the surgery with no offseason, no preseason. He's a rookie. He goes to Miami, which historically, especially of late, has not been the greatest of franchise to a quarterback. And all of a sudden, we expect magic from him. Instead, we were over there benching him every other game for Fitzmagic, and that wasn't helping his growth. The belief in him will help him realize his full potential and bring the Dolphins along for the ride. A rising tide will lift all boats, and that's what Tua will do this year with an off season, with him not just doing virtual training, but actually getting his hands dirty with this program in terms of philosophy, going out there with the confidence of a second-year player as the light turns green in your head and the game slows down. So thank you, Greg, and I want to go back to you because that Miami year, I get it, it happens. But I want to Lord, your passing, your receiving stats are like running back numbers in one game. So the point is, Greg.
We're not going there.
Hey, Derrick Henry had them yards in a half before in your whole year. But the point is, Greg, bring up in terms of the continuity and the growth for him what you expect.
Hey,
this
Greg,
year.
don't even acknowledge Marcellus. Right. He on one, bruh. All he done in his whole show is take shots and then expect you to answer the question.
Derrick Henry second
about
quarter.
you, your mom and them, your kids, and then be like, but Greg,
I'm just going to focus. I'm just going to focus on the question. I expect him to take a huge jump this year. And the reason why is what you said, Marcellus.
Yeah.
He was getting benched every other game for mistakes and not being able to actually run the offense the way that it was expected to be run or what have you. But as a parent who understands kids are going to make mistakes, we sometimes get in the way and hinder their growth process because we want them to make the mistakes that we're wanting them to make instead of allowing them to make their own mistakes, and they will learn a lot quicker. It will accelerate that experience level and allow them to see what they did wrong, know that they decided to do it, and grow from it. It's the same with Tua. If you leave him in there and let him figure it out, even if it looks ugly, let him figure it out. And when you get in there on Monday, he's going to watch the film and he's going to be real with himself, as so is the coaching staff. And you grow that way with a young quarterback. That is your future and franchise player.
Man, let him make his own mistakes. Let him go out there and figure it out. I love that. They let you play them 16 games, too. They let you figure it out, Greg. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't work. All right, coming up, Odell Beckham Jr. I love you, Greg. You know that. I had 0 sacks my last 2 years, so chill. OBJ was on his way to become an international superstar. We'll tell you if that's possible for an NFL player. That's next on Speak for Yourself.
208 yards. Trevor Lawrence is expected to have his name called number 1 overall next week at the NFL Draft. But his now former Clemson head coach, Dabo Swinney, thinks Lawrence could reach a level beyond the NFL. Y'all take a listen.
Yeah.
I think Trevor can be an international superstar. You know, there's not many football players that become international superstars. And I think part of that is just because, you know, we all wear helmets and uniforms and, you know, you kind of get identified by that. And then you take the helmets off and, you know, you become a normal person. And sometimes you blend in. Trevor doesn't blend in.
Greg is back with us, but Marcellus, you up first. Can an NFL player actually be an international superstar?
Yes, you can. You ever meet Odell Beckham Jr.? Yeah, that sucker. Hold on. Let's go to a video of Odell Beckham Jr. leaving the borders of the United States of great America. And I see, good Lord, where the hell are you at? That's not here. And he is still getting chased down the street. I've been outside our borders, and not a single soul has ever even chased me down the street, let alone said, hey, Marcellus Wiley. The point is, we've seen fanfare travel beyond the U.S. of A, and it can happen, but it doesn't happen just because of how great you are. Let's just be real about that. Tom Brady, to me, in terms of international superstar, was less than or is less than what that moment is showing right now from Odell Beckham Jr. Why? Oh, it's a myriad of reasons. There's an authenticity. There's an electricity that comes with a superstar that's different than just a star or just a great. Like, if Tom Brady were doing Howard Stern interviews, and if Tom Brady was living the TB12 lifestyle he's living in Tampa for 21 years like he did it the Patriot way, then Tom Brady may have some of what OBJ already has shown you and possessed. But without that ownership of that brand, of that makeup, you're not going to get there. And right now, Trevor Lawrence is off to a slow start because he's already going out there saying who he is and then retracting that, taking it back and clarifying that. That's not how you hit this level. You also don't hit this level of superstardom by just going out there and getting wins. Tom Brady has proven that. So to do it all, it needs to be electricity possessed with that certain NFL player. Last one I saw do it, OBJ. We'll see if Trevor Lawrence could do it.
Yeah, Odell did it, Sal, but even Odell, I feel like he only captivated it for 2 years. Like, if he would have won a Super Bowl, gone to the playoffs, won it in the playoffs at a high level, I think he could have captivated it for a long time. Here's why, Sal. Because to be an international superstar, you got to consistently be excellent. To be a superstar in any field, you can't just be a one-hit wonder. You got to put out banger after banger after banger. Odell Beckham did that. Y'all remember his first 3 or so years in the league? Banger after banger after banger, topped off by the 3-finger one-handed catch. Boom, solidified superstardom. But why don't you see a lot of NFL players that are superstars? It's very simple. To be an international superstar, people are going to have to question your dedication. To be an international superstar, you got to do international superstar things. What is the biggest off-the-field scandal Odell Beckham had? It was the boat party with Trey Songz, an international superstar.
Was it?
Right before the playoffs. That was the biggest one. That was where everybody was like, wait a second, Odell, are you really all that committed to the game of football? Like, you start questioning their commitment. So if you really want to be an international superstar, you got to do things that will make people question your commitment levels. That's why it's going to be very hard for people, players in the NFL, and even the Trevor Lawrences of the world to do so, because to do so, you really have to undermine your on-the-field achievements.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. It is challenging for football players to have that opportunity to even become international superstars, simply because our sport isn't watched internationally. Like, it's not watched everywhere. It's not even played everywhere. Like, if we're talking about football, versus American football, no. It's hard for you to become an international superstar when they're over there watching what we call soccer in our states. That's international for them. Like, that's big for them. So when you think about football players or you think about basketball players, the reason why it's a lot easier for NBA stars and MLB players to become international superstars is because these sports are played around the globe. Like football, American football is not played around the globe. It's admired in some areas, but it's not played around the globe. And so until that happens, it's just going to be hard fought for anyone to sustain that superstardom if they ever do get the lightning in the bottle like an Odell Beckham Jr. did. And I think what also helped Odell Beckham was he was in New York. It's the international hub. Like you spark in New York City, yes, you're going to be known. He made the spectacular catch that 1 year, but like you said, Acho, he didn't sustain it. Doesn't mean that he withdrew some of his superstardom, but he definitely didn't add to it.
Well, I don't know if he didn't sustain it as much as he lost his signal moving from New York to Cleveland. Certainly didn't help that signal get transmitted across waters. Let's just be real about that. And
cut the hair.
And cut the hair, everything changed. But let's be real. It wasn't balling exclusively that even got him to superstardom. The Giants were 6-10, 6-10, 11-5. Best year. Lost in the wild card round, so that doesn't count. 3-13 and 5-11. But Odell still pierced through that low ceiling and said, I'm a star regardless of what we're doing as a team. So when Acho says you got to win Super Bowls or something like that, I don't know about that. The closest thing we have to it right now is Patrick Mahomes, I think. Like, if Odell couldn't sustain it, Patrick Mahomes has a chance to do what we're talking about with Odell Beckham Jr. Now, it's a little bit of the boy next door, a little wholesome, and I still think that can sell, but it always takes that a little longer to travel than it is somebody who has this electricity to him, someone who just stands out, and someone who does the remarkable consistently like Odell and Patrick Mahomes. That said, the biggest scandal also, Acho, was not that boat. Remember he was eating pizza and she was watching Snowfall? Come on. And that, you know what? When you're a superstar, that kind of stuff happens. And it actually helps build the cachet in some weird ways.
It does.
Like for us, let that happen to me. Y'all ain't gonna never see me again. It's a wrap. I'm gone. Like, I'm not on that level. And I've hung out with Odell before. I've hung out with superstars. It's a whole different animal. And even if we're talking about every NFL player, we know we don't go to the free throw line in a tank top and shorts and everybody can see our pretty faces. It doesn't happen that way. Let alone, they don't even transmit our game everywhere. But there are some who, with the helmet on, who know who they are. Patrick Mahomes right now leading that race.
Patrick Mahomes-ish, like kind of, but here, the real issue, Sal, to me, G, is to be an international superstar, you have to have a whole bunch of accolades and attributes that you probably don't want in a team sport. Odell Beckham has been called selfish, been called a diva. Oh, he's very arrogant, flamboyant. Those are all the attributes that made him the superstar. Let's make no mistake about it. Now, Stel, I do agree with you to a point. Like, yes, the Giants sucked, but Odell had 91 receptions, 96 receptions, 100 receptions, 1,300 yards, 1,400 yards, 1,400 yards. So you have to be talented. That just is the entry ticket.
Yeah.
But even after the entry ticket, to your point, Odell had to have the hair. The hair is what everybody now had, the blonde tips and all that. He had to have the hair. He had to celebrate in the end zone. He had to do the hurdles and the fire hydrants, and he had to do all that. He had to dance before the games. He had to make the one-handed catches. He had to live in New York, to G's point, because now he's going to a New York Fashion Week, et cetera, et cetera. But then with all that comes the question marks of your character. Think about what Russell Wilson doing right now. So just last week we said, Russ, who are you? You're not the same selfless guy that we thought you were. Now, all of a sudden, you're more concerned with yourself. And he is coupled with a international superstar. So you can't just be great at your craft. You got to be great at your craft and a little bit extra. And I don't think most NFL players want to sacrifice their team for that little bit of extra.
Yeah, I agree. You have to be able to toe the line, in some instances cross the line.
Yes.
I'm reminded of an episode of Martin. For those of you who don't know, one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. Anyway, he was he was a host. And he had to start wearing glasses and he had to start looking the part. He didn't want to do that. That was messing up his image. But the people liked it. It was going to get more views. Everybody was going to love him more. That's what you do when you stoke the fire. Odell Beckham being in New York City for the New York Football Giants, and he was great. He was the greatest of the Giants in that time period. And anytime we spoke of the New York Giants, it was about Odell. It wasn't about, like you said, Acho, their record. It was about what is Odell Beckham going to do? We glued to this TV because of that catch and what he was able to potentially provide us with. That's what adds fuel to a fire. That's what gets you that international praise and that glory and that salivation for fans all across the world, because what you've done and what you continue to entertain and add fuel to, even though it's not praised, like you said, Acho, I love that point, and looked upon as something positive within your organization in that locker room, you have to be willing consciously, and your PR team has to stir that pot a little bit.
Interesting, man. They always say stars are born, not made. So if it's not in you, then it's not going to happen. And knowing Odell Beckham Jr., watching Odell Beckham Jr., he is something special in terms of that charisma, in terms of what he exudes. Because as the only other guy up here who played in New York City, trust me, it ain't just New York, because nobody know my ass anywhere. Coming up, Patrick Mahomes is ahead of schedule after toe surgery. We'll tell you if his Chiefs, the Chiefs, should be the clear favorites in the AFC. And that's next on Speak for Yourself. Patrick Mahomes says he watched his Chiefs Super Bowl loss to the Bucs a couple of times, then moved on from it. Adding, quote, we have to find a way to get back and try to win it. Mahomes' current health status should definitely help. He said he's ahead of schedule following his off-season toe surgery, my toe, and is out of his walking boot. So, Acho, should the Chiefs be clear favorites to win the AFC?
Yeah, I don't know who the heck else could do it. I mean, when I look at the Chiefs, they're 30-6, Sal, and against the AFC opponents. So if they not the favorite, who else going to be? It can only be a matter of the Buffalo Bills. That's it.
Act like that was hard to figure out.
But here's why. Because we're banking on Josh Allen's continued ascension.
Why not?
And I just think that it's very hard to follow up 4,900 yards and 44 total touchdowns. Ask Lamar Jackson. It's very hard to follow up a MVP caliber season. Ask Lamar Jackson. Ask anybody who has won MVP prior. It's very hard to follow that up. So if the primary contender is Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, but we know how hard it is to follow up a great season, Patrick Mahomes followed up his 50-touchdown season with a 28-touchdown season. So it's hard to follow up greatness with other greatness. I just do not see it. Again, I'm going to go to what are the great and who are the great quarterbacks in the AFC.
Go.
You got your Texans quarterback and Deshaun Watson, so much up in the air with him. You got Justin Herbert, new head coach, plus he's still young. You got Lamar Jackson. Have they reached their ceiling? You got Josh Allen. And that's really when I look at like the elite quarterbacks in the AFC, because I don't know what Carson Wentz is going to do. I love Baker Mayfield, but I'm not going to throw him in the elite conversation yet. When I look at the elite quarterbacks in the AFC, that's kind of where it starts and where it stops.
I'm listening.
Whereas you have Andy Reid, plus Eric Bieniemy, plus Patrick Mahomes going on their, third year together, starting collectively in this for a full season, I just don't see who can even really contend with them in the AFC.
Well, you already said it's the Buffalo Bills, and I think it is. It's not even there in the rear view mirror. It's not even there in the side view mirror. Just roll your passenger window down. Hey, Buffalo, what y'all doing? Passing you by? Because think about the number of opponents the Kansas City Chiefs have to fight this year. One, in their own heads, how they're watching the video and the film a couple times. We're going to move on. Hopefully we can do that again. Not only make it there, but win it. Tough sledding. Two, the actual opponents. You named all these teams. These teams are getting better. AFC, coaching, quarterback combos. I don't even want to go through the list like you just did. But let's start at the top. Josh Allen. He's improved. He's doubled his touchdown total every single year. Even if he doesn't keep that pace, he just improves. And there's no indicator that he won't improve. Even if the numbers don't suggest it, he'll improve. That's going to be trouble for the Kansas City Chiefs. And then you talk about the fact that there's a Super Bowl hangover for teams that lose the Super Bowl. They don't even make it to playoffs, let alone make it back to the Super Bowl. There's just a lot of history. There's a lot in terms of mental makeup that they have to overcome just to become the Kansas City Chiefs in that position again. Now, if you make me bet who's going to be in the AFC Championship game, run it back. It's going to be both and the Kansas City Chiefs. Problem is, if you've been on teams before where you didn't fully realize your potential. And what happens is guys come back and say, you know what, we're going to do it again. We're going to get there, and this time we're going to finish the deal. Here's the problem, and Nick Saban always talks about this. Guys don't go back to square one because their assumption is we're already that good. And when you don't go back to square one in terms of building blocks, it usually comes back to bite you and haunt you at the worst time. If you look at the Buffalo Bills falling short to the Kansas City Chiefs, that's their goal. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, their goal is to win another Super Bowl. But what's on the way to win another Super Bowl? Them Buffalo Bills who are gunning just for you. You gunning for Tampa Bay. You gunning for Lombardi. Bruh, you may not even get that far. At least history says you won't.
So let's narrow down the conversation because it's all fun to talk about the whole AFC, but we can all agree it's Chiefs and the Bills.
That's what it looks like.
We know one thing. Okay. We know the Chiefs division is far easier to get out of. Raiders, Broncos, Chargers. Far easier to get out of than the Bills division. You still got to face the Patriots, and you believe in Cam Newton. We all believe in Belichick. You got to face the Miami Dolphins. I believe in Brian Flores, to be seen, but we kind of believe in Tua. And then there's the Jets. The Chiefs will for sure win their division, which guarantees them a playoff spot. The Bills, we don't even know if they will for sure win their division. So that just makes things a little bit murky. But I think the real dialogue to be had, Sel, is we can kind of agree Josh Allen probably won't statistically have as good a season. Not because he won't get better, but it is very hard to match that season he had. I've shown you all the history, and I can do it again.
No. I love your history, but Josh Allen is that dude.
He is.
37 touchdowns. You don't think he could go over? Yes, I do.
Isn't Patrick Mahomes that dude? Because he had 50 touchdowns and he had 26. Lamar Jackson's that dude. But that's my point, right? My point is this. Josh Allen played something. It might be Stephon Diggs. It might be Josh Allen.
I get that.
The head coach might get COVID. It might be something, something random might happen.
Right.
Football, you can't prepare for what you can't prepare for.
Yeah.
So I do think that something random will happen to the Bills that didn't necessarily happen this year.
Okay.
So even if it is the Bills and the Chiefs, if the Bills are the primary opponent for the Chiefs, something might happen to these Bills where Patrick Mahomes already faced his something happened moment. After he won the MVP, he got hurt the next year. And he only passed for 26 touchdowns the next year. They still succeeded and got to the Super Bowl, inevitably won it. But if Josh Allen has his first hiccup, because he's been on a crazy upward trajectory, can they still sustain the hiccup? That's where my bet is you know what? I'm not convinced.
Good point, because they need balance in their offense. Their rushing attack did not live up to that balancing act that they need to continue to improve. I give you that. But they did have the second best scoring offense. They did have, in terms of passing offense, the third best. And they were best on third down. Some good-ass metrics to be in terms of top 2 or number 1 in this league. Here's the biggest problem. Forget everything I just said. Forget everything you just said. Only one team in the last 27 years have lost the Super Bowl and made it back the following season. 2017 Patriots. So we always talk about back-to-back champions, and we always talk about Tom Brady, and he's the last quarterback to win back-to-backs. Who's the last team to even go back to putting that situation after losing it the first year? 1 of 27? Now, you telling me I don't want to believe in the trajectory of Josh Allen? I'd rather believe in that than trying to be number 2 of 28 in terms of returning back to the Super Bowl. Good luck with that. Coming up, is Lamar Jackson the next quarterback to get a huge payday? I mean, bigger. We'll tell you how the Ravens should handle his contract extension. That's next on Speak for Yourself.
So, there's Lamar Jackson up next. The former MVP is eligible for a long-term deal, and the Ravens GM said there have been ongoing discussions that are definitely a fluid thing, adding, quote, hopefully we'll have some good news for everybody. So, Marcellus, how should the Ravens handle Lamar Jackson's looming contract extension?
Oh, it's easy. Pay him, and pay him fast. You should know something about this. What's faster than Cash App? Nothing. Just give me my money right now. We need no money order, no old lady in the checkout line. God, people still at the checkout line with their checkbooks out. Can you stop that? Cash App this thing. Big money fast for Lamar Jackson. because we can't doubt who we should be paying in this situation. As my grandma used to say, the reason needs to be cheesing. That means give the person who needs the money their money right now. The reason needs to be cheesing. Lamar Jackson done it all, bro. He saved Coach Harbaugh's job. Okay. He steadied this franchise, which was starting to look a little different, long distant from their Super Bowl win. And then if you look at this team, everything we're saying is like, well, Lamar Jackson is still doing that in spite. Like, we love the rushing attack, and he's a part of their rushing attack. We love the defense, but the defense wasn't the same every single year since he's been there. We've seen a little bit of a roller coaster ride. But what's been consistent is the play of Lamar Jackson. Even in regression, he still put up numbers. People out here tripping on this guy. So the point is, if there's going to be a conversation of who to take care of, it's the guy who's been the reason why you're even in this conversation of being a contender. It's your unanimous MVP, Lamar Jackson.
I respect it. I think you pay Lamar Jackson expeditiously, but you do so cautiously. Ooh, right? You pay him expeditiously because you saw what happened with Dak Prescott's situation. Oh, let's just drag it out. Let's drag it out. Maybe we'll end up winning. That's the Cowboys thought process. Next thing you know, he breaks the bank and he breaks your back financially. So pay Lamar Jackson expeditiously, but how exactly do you do it? Short term, fully guaranteed. Think about Kirk Cousins' first deal with the Minnesota Vikings. If you're Lamar, what I'm not going to do is this. I'm not going to commit a 6, 8, 10-year deal like Patrick Mahomes to Lamar Jackson if I'm the Ravens. Because even as the Ravens, I got to make sure someone can win with this style of play. Even if it's not us, I got to make sure that some quarterback somewhere in the NFL can win a Super Bowl if you are more of a threat running than you are of a threat passing. Some quarterback prove it to me. Justin Fields, you can come in and prove it to me. Josh Allen, if all of a sudden you start running for 1,100 yards, you prove it to me. Somebody prove it to me before I commit long term. So if I'm the Ravens, thinking like a 2-year, $85 million deal, fully guaranteed.
What'd you just say?
A 2-year, $85 million
Kirk Cousins
deal.
you talking about?
That's how I would do it.
That's why you're an analyst. That's why you're a host.
What I don't want to do, though, Sal, and mind you, Kirk Cousins won. Kirk Cousins won that way.
What? You trying to... That's lowballing him.
No, he's making more than Dak Prescott is on average.
He doesn't have the security that he deserves based on his play.
But that's the kicker is Lamar Jackson would be winning because Lamar Jackson would be getting $85 million.
On a prove-it deal? That's not a prove-it deal. A 2-year deal when
that's not a prove-it deal.
First of all, nobody wants Patrick Mahomes' deal because that's so stupid.
Of course, we know
Too
that.
damn long. It was a bad deal. That's why Dak's going to lap Patrick Mahomes 3 times.
So
and
then what, you going to give him 4 years?
4 years.
Here's why I wouldn't do that.
I always want 4 years. Line me up with the TV money.
If I'm the Ravens, here's why I would not do that. The question is, how should the Ravens handle it? If I'm the Ravens, I'm looking like this. What? We don't know how quickly quarterbacks like you get tread on their tires. Mike Vick, he peaked his 4th year in the NFL, NFC Championship game. Cam Newton, he peaked his 5th year in the NFL, MVP. Robert Griffin, he peaked his 1st year in the NFL, Rookie of the Year. Lamar Jackson is better than all of those players. You could argue Cam Newton. I'm not going to disrespect Cam because Cam was a beast. But all of those players who were more of threats to defenses with their legs than they were with their arms, they peaked 5 years or sooner. Sign a 5-year deal if you want to. But if I'm the Ravens, I'm looking at history. And I'm saying Cam Newton peaked his 5th year, then he started getting injured and had issues. Mike Vick peaked his 4th year, then he obviously had issues, and then he had injury issues. Robert Griffin, he actually peaked his 1st year, then he started getting injuries and he had issues. If you're the Ravens, handle it expeditiously, but you also got to handle it cautiously.
Those names, how many MVPs?
Cam Newton got 1.
How many unanimous MVPs? Got quiet. How many led the league in passing touchdowns? Got quiet again.
Cam Newton total touchdowns.
Boy, you better stop.
Cam Newton total touchdowns.
You better stop comparing. Like, this is the problem with history and using that to frame all our stats. And I'm guilty of it as well, but not as much as you. Here's the thing. There's always going to be an outlier, anomaly. There's going to be a pioneer. Tom Brady's doing that right now. You know, when he was 37, people were like, it's a wrap, Tom Brady. We never seen a quarterback after 40 go out there and do historical things and win Super Bowls. Tom Brady's like, I don't want to hear them stats. And that's the same thing with Lamar Jackson. He's not Mike Vick. He's Mike Vick plus.
But
he's not Cam Newton. He's Cam Newton
but
plus.
You can't, if you're the Ravens, you can't bet on an outlier. That's how you go broke.
What you mean?
So you're telling me.
Yes, I can, because he's already shown it.
You're saying I'm not going to look at Cam, even though Cam was an MVP who led the entire league.
He's not a comp.
Cam threw 35 passing touchdowns a year. He won the NFL MVP. Lamar Jackson threw 36. So it is a comp. Cam Newton threw for 35 to Lamar's 36. Cam Newton
rushing
had 10
yards.
rushing touchdowns. Lamar Jackson, I think, got 7 rushing touchdowns.
rushing touchdowns?
So
rushing
Cam Newton
yards.
had more total touchdowns. It is a comp.
It's not a comp.
It wasn't unanimous because Russell Wilson balled that year, other players balled that year, but it is a comp.
It's not a comp.
All it is this. I'm not going to be the team that banks on Lamar Jackson being an outlier. I agree with you, handle it expeditiously, but don't somebody got to prove to you that this can work?
I'm trying to help you buy a house instead of living Beverly Hills adjacent. Has Cam Newton won 70% of his regular season games every year he's been a starter? It's not a comp, dog. You got to look deeper to the details. You're the kind of dude that just see the price of the house. I want it. I'm like, how many bedrooms? How many square feet? How big is the lot size? Let's go through the neighborhood. What school district? Like, you got to keep asking that. That's when you start to separate.
Good so Cam Newton is not a comp to Lamar Jackson.
Dog,
you tell me that they're not equal talent. First of all,
that's not the only thing that is a comp. You're giving me square footage again. Yeah, Cam Newton is maybe more talented than Lamar Jackson because he could do almost what Lamar Jackson could do, and he looks like this. Point is, let's dive into these details. How did it translate? Like Lamar Jackson's just special, man. 6-1, 13-2, 11-4.
He went to a better team, though.
Oh, okay. Look, it wasn't a better team before he got on that field. Ask Joe Flacco, partner. What house are you going to live in?
Cam Newton was a number one pick, though.
Okay,
he went to a team that had a number one pick. Lamar Jackson was the 30. Now, obviously, they traded up, so they weren't the best team in the league that prior year. But he went to a more competent team. Comp is talent.
Yeah.
Comp is what you can do with your talent.
Well, Peyton Manning went to a number one overall pick, went to the sorriest team. 3-13 next year, 13-3. And then every year, 14-13. Don't do this, man. Let's just dive into these details and keep it simple. And then let's just be really simple, beyond that simple. Pay the man. Pay him what he wants. Shut up. None of y'all would have jobs if he wasn't in the building in the first place. 4 years, cash app. I'll take that, homie. Coming up, Mike Tomlin will be in Pittsburgh for a long time. We'll tell you if he deserves his new extension. Next on Speak for Yourself. You're going to give Tomlin, what, a half a year deal? Mike Tomlin is not leaving Pittsburgh anytime soon. He signed a 3-year extension that runs through 2024. Tomlin has a Super Bowl win, and the Steelers have made the playoff 9 times with him as their head coach. But his team only has 3 playoff wins since their last Super Bowl appearance 10 years ago. Bacho, will Mike Tomlin deserve his new deal?
Yo, absolutely, Sal. I mean, he's never had a losing season as a head coach. That's first thing. But more impressive to me, actually, is he's never had a quarterback with a losing record who started over 2 games. You're talking about Mason Rudolph. You're talking about Charlie Batch. You're talking about Devlin Duck Hodges, Landry Jones, Mike Vick, Dennis Dixon. Like, all those names that every one of his quarterbacks have had a winning record. And we also know Mike Tomlin isn't some sort of quarterback guru. So that just means Mike Tomlin has really good teams. Now, the kicker's going to come when it's like, okay, wait a second now, Mike Tomlin. You haven't won a Super Bowl in a while. Hopefully Steelers fans chill like Eagles fans didn't, and they learn from that mistake, and you don't start to get restless after your coach takes you to the promised land but doesn't go back for a little bit. But when you talk about, I think, consistency as far as head coaches in the NFL, I think Belichick, I think Andy Reid, I think Mike Tomlin, I would probably put those 3 coaches in a category of their own. Belichick goes to the big games and wins them. Andy Reid goes less frequently but has won them. And Mike Tomlin, consistent. I think he's underappreciated.
Man, certainly he deserves this. Certainly underappreciated as well. Listen to this sentence right here. A Super Bowl champion coach that never loses shouldn't be understated. Like you're a Super Bowl champion. And you never lose. So your highs are the highest they could be. And your lows are better than everybody else's. It's insane right now. Mike Tomlin is tied for the most seasons without a losing record to start his head coaching career. Tied with Marty Schottenheimer, rest in peace, my coach, Marty Schottenheimer. Mike Tomlin is already a Hall of Fame coach. We're watching a living legend right now because only coaches ahead of him in terms of win percentage that are active. We're talking about John Madden, Lombardi, George Allen, George Halas, Don Shula, Bill Belichick. You know he's a Hall of Famer. Paul Brown, Tony Dungy. That's it. Good Lord, what Mike Tomlin up there doing. Now, the funny thing about Mike Tomlin, in part why he's underappreciated, is twofold. One, he'll rock the boat and steady the ship. Like Mike Tomlin.
At the same time.
Dog.
He'll rock it himself.
Yeah.
And then he'll turn around and go steady it.
Yeah, he the one that throws the rocks and hides his hands. Like, who did that? I'm going to go clean that up, though. So that's what's funny about him. But it's amazing. I saw that little punch, that little shot you took at Mike Tomlin, talking about he has really good teams.
Phenomenal teams.
You know what? You got lost in the sauce. You got lost in the title. He don't have to be a quarterback whisperer guru to develop talent. Kyle Shanahan is the guy who has that title. but doesn't necessarily develop talent. So it's funny, like, when we've been on teams, how many times you get on the team and they're like, okay, guys, this is the captain. You're like, who voted him the captain? It's like, he the captain. This is more high school. He the captain, right? I'm like, he ain't the best player. Like, the best player gonna be me, but he the captain. Sometimes you got a title, sometimes you got the stripes, but you're not gonna earn them in that moment. You're not gonna earn them going forward. Mike Tomlin, they're not gonna give him his proper due. They're not gonna give him his stripes like he deserves it. But trust me, the names he surrounded himself by already puts him in that Hall of Fame conversation.
And then I think, let's just, even for the viewer's sake, for my sake, put in context not having a losing season. Bill Belichick just had a losing season. Woo! Cam Newton is his quarterback.
That was amazing.
Kyle Shanahan, losing season because he lost Jimmy G as his quarterback.
3 of his 4 years as a
losing season. Mike
yeah.
McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers got hurt, losing season.
Losing.
Dak Prescott got hurt, losing season.
Damn.
But remember, Ben Roethlisberger only played 2 games a couple years ago before he gets hurt with the elbow. Mike Tomlin rolls out Duck Hodges, rolls out Mason Rudolph, and they still go 8-8. So when you think about the context of, okay, what's the big deal not having a losing season? First off, he has 14 starts, 14 consecutive seasons without a losing season, which a former coach.
Facts.
The late Shoddy. But then also, like, other coaches that are great, Bill Belichick can't even finesse what Mike Tomlin has finessed. So for that reason, I'm like, yeah, incredible.
Cash App.
Coming up, Kyle Kuzma took a jab at Anthony Davis' health status. We'll tell you if he loved or hated it. That's next. Speak for yourself.
Kuzma time.
The short-handed Lakers took an L against the Jazz last night, and Anthony Davis, their superstar, has been out for over 2 months. But he's been doing some light work and might be in line to come back Thursday. I've heard that for like the last week. Kyle Kuzma was asked about the possibility after the game. Y'all take a listen.
It's better play. It's been about 2-3 months, so hopefully he's ready to go. Obviously, we missed him.
So, Sal, how you feel about Kuzma saying this?
Man, Kuzma, man, look, you know it's Kyle Kuzma, so I'm going to hate it. Lakers, Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma, man, he is living like in this fantasy world. And it's funny because it's almost like he's living off of his rookie year projections and how he hit the ground running. He coming from the Midwest, he lands here, boom. And boy, did L.A. love Kyle Kuzma. And he took off running. But that soundtrack he heard in the rookie year now turned into dreams and nightmares, Meek Mill style, because he's conflicted. He almost thinks he's more than he is. And I think that the guys every now and then kind of side-eye him like, man, I don't know, Kuzma. Them buckets ain't adding up to this cash AQ rating, zipped up, ripped up jeans that you live off Melrose acting. Let me stop. So the point is, Kyle Kuzma just seems like a guy who's a little try-hard for me, but I love the dude. He cool.
Wait, no.
Nah, he cool.
I know. I'm avoiding everything I just said to address what you just did.
Yeah, I like Kyle.
You disrespected Kyle Kuzma for, as I see it,
him like
47 seconds.
Yeah.
And you think you're going to atone for the 47 seconds
like
of hate with one sentence. I love the dude.
I do love him.
He's cool.
I do love him. Like, he just caught up. Like, I love people who caught up. You don't like nobody that's caught up? I love you. You caught up. Look at you every time on break. Doing this. Every time I talk to you, Acho, what you doing?
That's what you try to do in the show. You diss me all show, and then you think you'll say, oh, Acho, you look good, and expect me to forgive you.
I'm starting the show. Emmy-nominated, commercial-having ass. Whatever. That's it for us. Fox Med Live is next. I love you, Acho.